Hello out there. It is Friday and it is time for Fundamentalist Fails. It might not be Friday where you are. Okay, don't stress, don't panic. We may be in different time zones. That's okay. That's all right. I went south, you went north, I went east, you went west. It's totally fine. We can chill on this world together even though we went in different directions. That's totally cool. All good, all good. And today I'm roasting Donny. Look, Donny, I find it funny. I find it really funny. You know what? It's not more Donny, it's more Raw Matt. But I'm feeling fantastic today. I hope you're doing well. Just before we get started, don't forget to tickle the like and the subscribe if you're not already subscribed. That would be fantastic. And I will get to the videos. Now, my downloading program didn't work again. It stopped working last weekend and then it worked again for like 5 days and now it stopped again. So I don't know what's up with that. But I'll have to do it straight off YouTube. You know, technical issues, but that's okay. I should have enough bandwidth to cope with it. And it should be fine. So yeah, oh, it's so good to see everybody. So good to see you. And so my thoughts on Donny's. I do debates on Donny's. I don't think Donny's necessarily a bad guy. I just think that he promotes things that he's incredibly wrong about. I guess my major problem with Donny is that he misrepresents the science, and that isn't the major concern. The major concern is that he puts on people who they've got they haven't even investigated the science, and we'll see that out of the videos that I've got lined up. Now I've got about three, a couple of them are very short, so we'll see how far we get through. Maybe it'll be a while, maybe it won't, but all of it is just ridiculously wrong about everything, really. Well, not everything, you know, obviously there's some things in there that are correct, but just the premises and what they're saying is just absolutely fantastically wrong. I appeared on Dr. Dan's recently and he mentioned one of the videos and I just couldn't stay away after seeing it. It's too good. And I think that sort of when you are running a channel, you know, you could point to say, hey, it wasn't me that said this, it was just somebody appearing on my channel. And I think that's a cop-out. I think you're responsible for the content that does go up on your channel. So if he does have somebody, you know, what I would describe as a crackpot or somebody that is, you know, completely wrong about everything, and he puts it on his channel, then he is the one responsible because it is his channel. He is responsible for what goes up there. But, you know, it gives us a chance to point and laugh, which is the sort of response that you should be having with this kind of stuff. I probably will have a debate coming up as well. I'll just let you know that. It will be against Jim Bob. Now, before you gnash your teeth and throw your keyboard out the window in a fit of rage, which I can completely understand, there's going to be a few ground rules. Like, I can ask for 1-minute intervals. I've made sure of that. The topic isn't something ridiculous. I've made sure of that. I've actually put a few things in place so that I can actually have a decent debate. And I'm not, like, it's basically going to be on evolution. And from what I've seen on evolution with Jim, he doesn't understand it at all, like in the slightest, and does no comprehension of what they're actually doing in the field of evolutionary biology to actually, you know, do science on this stuff. There are experiments, there's labs doing stuff all over the world. We know them. We've got the Lenski labs, we've got the Drosophila experiments, we've got tons of stuff in our corner, and I don't think he's aware of it from what I've seen of him. And that was just catching a debate between him and Planet Peterson. But today it's Donny. It's Donny. So yeah, so I mean, I was over on Erica's this morning. Look, I got up ridiculously early this morning. Mostly because Lynn was up. She just got up early, and I'm like, well, I could go back to sleep, but I did know that a friend of mine, Simos Funk, was doing a panel kind of thing. So I went over to that and it was cancelled. So then I went on Ember's membership stream, which was fun and awesome. And Ember's just delightful. I love to see her any day of the week, is fantastic. So yeah, it all worked out well. But just keep in mind, I'm very tired. So if I am a bit more incoherent than usual, you know, I mean, if I'm incoherent, that's just a normal Friday, let's face it. But I'm more incoherent, that would be why. But I do have my coffee. and I do have my water, and so I'm well equipped to dive in to the fertilizer that this channel keeps producing. And I'm a mixed feelings. I hate that it's absolute bullcrap. I love that we can point and laugh at it because it's actually hilarious. But as I said, I'm going to have to stream them directly because it's kind of my program for downloading is non-compos mentis, I think is the words for it. So I'll get the first one up. Yeah, 1 second, and I have to find it. Yes. So. No, I didn't. I will never miss Bubblegum Gun on anything. That man is insane. He is absolutely insane. Like, there is no... I do not miss that. No. I rightfully did not experience that. He's terrible. I nearly dumped coffee all over myself. What a start to the day. Howdy. What up again, Mark? Yeah, I was over at Transpositions just before. Fantastic show. Highly recommend. I got some good news. I had to leave in the middle of the good news segment, and boy, do I need some good news lately. I've been watching too much of American politics. I've got to take breaks from American politics because seriously, oh boy, it's just, it's not good for your health, like watching too much of it. Like really, watching too much of it, you start to hate the entire world, basically. What? Yeah, no, that's obviously it. No. Yeah, so he keeps saying, look, if I do, let him do a lawsuit. It's wild. Anyway, this is when the Earth went nuclear. What was it? It was when the Earth... Hold it. When the Earth went nuclear, the mind-bending truth about Oklo. Now, if you're familiar with Oklo, well done. Good on you. Oklo is basically a natural nuclear fission site. Okay, so it's in like Gabon in Africa, and basically, I'll get to how they found that out, but basically it's where uranium, I think it's uranium-235, is being, or in the past had been broken down kind of thing. And basically it is a thorn in the side for young Earth creationists because, we know from radioactive decay that this occurred like billions of years ago, because the amount of decay that has occurred and the amount of fission that's occurred, it couldn't have just been a recent thing. But look, but they've got an answer over at Standing for Truth. You know what's interesting? Anytime that a channel or something has truth in the name, or the name of something has truth in it, it's always the dodgiest channel, right? Like Truth Social and stuff like that. It's always the dodgiest freaking channel. What's up with that? But anyway, yeah, so this is their answer to Oklo, the natural nuclear fission site, and it is absolutely hilarious. So brace yourselves, facepalm ready, at the ready, because this is Raw Matt, who I think his name is Matt. I can't remember his last name, Matt something, and I've debated him before. His logical connections are so tenuous, they like hang by a thread. He makes these associations and these connections which are just, oh, they're awful. They're just the worst. But anyway, let's go and find out how Matt explains the Okla nuclear fission site.
Deep in the heart of West Africa, hidden beneath the soil of Gabon, lies a place where the Earth once ran its own nuclear reactor. It is called Oklo, and scientists found it in the 1950s, but only in 1972 did they...
Yeah, it has to have AI slop these days. It just has to. There's no way it can't have AI slop. It's got to have it. It's mandatory now, apparently.
They realized the truth. 16 separate natural reactor zones scattered underground. That's right. Oklo isn't just one reactor. It's actually 16 zones spread across different paths underground. But what's strange
Yeah, but the important thing to remember is it's all in the same layer, right? This uranium layer that runs across the thing, and it needs very, very specific conditions. I did have sort of a science communication article on it from. Oh dear, it's taking ages to. Okay, so I did have a sort of science communication. No, did I have the paper as well? There was a really good. Maybe it was just the Wikipedia article. There was a really good diagram to show you. Yeah, right. So I'll just share this. And this is sort of, so on the right-hand side, you can see the sort of, it is all of these sites, but it's in the one layer that goes down. And they're sort of 5 kilometers from each other. So they're not that close together. They're kind of, these pockets of uranium are sort of scattered around in the layer kind of thing. So it's not like they're just, one pocket here and that's all the, that's not what it's like. It's just that this uranium is scattered through this layer, and those are the major pockets that reach a critical mass that's required in order for fission to start. So I'll go back.
Is that the uranium here is different from anywhere else on Earth. Normally, uranium is found at 0.72%.
Correct. Yes. The percentage of uranium-235 is way below what it should be anywhere else in the world. Like, this is the thing. We have found uranium, and uranium-235 being in there, with the other one being, I think, uranium 238, I think, from memory. I might be wrong on that. I should do a disclaimer. I am not a physicist or anything like that. I am just going by the sort of things that I've researched into as I've seen his thing. But yes, it had almost 40% below the normal value of uranium-235 compared to any other naturally found uranium anywhere on the planet, which is significant, and that's what led them down this thing of why is the uranium so low?
Uranium-235. But at Oklo, it's around 0.7171. A tiny difference that tells a big story.
It's a tiny difference. It's not a tiny difference. It's a 40% reduction. Like, it is really significant. Like, the actual amount might be tiny, but it is of great significance because it usually, so 238 is the ones that you usually find. That's very, very, like, it's very common. And not that useful for fission, but 235 is way less common. So that deviation, 40% deviation, is incredibly significant. And they were sort of, at first they were at a loss as to why is this uranium so, like, why is it different than anywhere else in the world?
This difference is used by conventional science to suggest that the reactor started nearly 2 billion years ago.
Correct, yes. That is your problem. That in order, and it's not just that the uranium is low. So if you know how, like, if you don't know how it works, decay has this sort of parent isotope and a daughter isotope. So, and the same is true of fission. When you're doing fission, you should have like one thing there, like uranium-235, and then some waste element, something that comes out on the other side. Because don't forget, energy can neither be created nor destroyed. Same is true with matter; it just changes state. So you should have the output being what we would expect from a nuclear reactor. And the thing is, we do. That's the wild thing. We absolutely do. So this is from the Wikipedia article, but it kind of shows you very, very clearly what we should expect and what we should find, right? So this is neodymium, which is a fission product from uranium. So this is what comes out at the other end. And what we see, and this is sort of, what we should find naturally and what we find in fission, so neodymium-142, it should be like 26% naturally. That's what you find naturally. With Oklo, it contains less than 6%, so it's all the way down here. So the question is, why the hell, where did all the neodymium go? And the other one is ruthenium, right, which is I believe that's a stable isotope. In fission, we get a massive amount of ruthenium-99, right? It's much higher than what's naturally. So Oklo found 27 to 30% ruthenium, right? And that's the end product. That's after decay happens. It ends up as being ruthenium. So it's not just, hey, we found less uranium. It's that we found the fission byproducts in much higher amounts, right? Just like what would happen if a fission took that uranium, caused fission, it changed into a byproduct, and then that decayed over billions of years. That's basically what we found, right? And it's incredibly interesting. And they didn't know this happened at first. They had to work all this stuff out. And basically it is that, well, there was a fission event there, as strange as it sounds.
When uranium had higher enrichment levels. But there's another way to look at it.
Because don't forget that in the past, uranium was more concentrated because it had less decay, right? So if you go back billions of years, there was actually more uranium-235 than now because none of it had decayed. Because 235 is an unstable isotope. I believe the decay chain ends at lead with that one.
The traditional explanation says Oklo's uranium was rich enough in uranium-235 long ago that it started a chain reaction moderated by water and ran for hundreds of thousands of years.
Yep, because without water, there'd be nothing to control the reaction, so it would have just stopped. Okay, so it had to have water. So there was this weird conglomeration of all these different variables to cause a natural nuclear fission event. And it's not just, hey, there's less uranium. It is that we have the uranium depleted and the byproducts, the fission products, enhanced in those samples. At first, what they thought, right, what they actually thought was that this was somebody had performed nuclear fission on the sly against the nuclear proliferation program. Like they thought that this was byproduct from an actual, secret reactor or something like that. They actually thought it was a modern reaction. They had to work all of this stuff out, that it was from the variables. And I do have sort of a thing on it. They can't be plausible is what they thought at first. Uranium ore has gone through a fission. So this all happened like over like this was 72 that they first discovered it, and they only sort of found out it was 20, 30 years later. There's no other explanation than a fission reaction. Without water to slow the neutrons down, controlled fission would not have been possible. The atoms simply would not have split. So the specific geological context is that there was high concentrations of uranium. The individual deposits were thick and large enough, and it just managed to survive the passing of time. Yeah, and they think there might have been other ones, but they've been destroyed. So this is wild, but it is the only explanation as to why the uranium has been depleted and the fission byproducts have been created there. There's no other explanation, but Matt's got one.
But the evidence at Oklo doesn't fit the pretty picture that they portray of a steady, self-sustaining reactor. Many of their uranium layers are way too thin to run a natural reaction.
No, they're actually, that's one of the things that they said, that they are thick enough. They're unusually thick. That is one of the things that they actually said. So no, Matt's just wrong on this. They're not. I don't know what to tell you about that.
And the pattern of uranium-235 depletion is chaotic, varying wildly over microscopic distances, not smooth and uniform like you'd expect from deep time.
No, that is what you'd expect from a natural fission reaction that's not controlled like in a reactor. You wouldn't expect that from a reactor because they're basically modifying the environment so it has a uniform reaction. Nature rarely does things in uniform parts. Like it rarely does things like smoothly all the same. But I think he's talking about the distances between them, and the distances between them are incredibly vast, incredibly vast. And it's sort of, they didn't keep going to today because they reached under that critical threshold, and it just sort of stopped. But none of this is sort of an objection to why it couldn't be a nuclear fission reaction.
That's because Oklo wasn't running continuously. It needed an outside kickstart. And here's where things get fascinating. Oklo sits in one of the most lightning-prone regions on Earth, 200 to 300 strikes a year. Lightning produces bursts of gamma rays and a type of radiation called brimstolum, which can knock loose neutrons and cause brief, subcritical nuclear reactions.
Dude, no, it can't. It can't. No. Lightning does a type of nuclear reaction. It is called photofission, where it does knock electrons loose, but it actually creates nitrogen-13. It doesn't, like, for a start, you would have to say that the lightning struck this uranium underground. No, Matt, no. No, absolutely not. And two, it does not cause fission to start in uranium. It does not. Like, there is a fission event with lightning, but gamma radiation is photons. It's photons. And it will not start. Like, you don't... A lightning strike is not going to jumpstart a reactor. It isn't. This is the wildest stuff. Like, oh, lightning, and then it reached a critical mass somehow, and then started performing fission, and then stopped until the next one. But it would have to be, such accelerated fission. I don't know why. I don't know how that would work without melting the entire place into the ground. Like, he's trying to accelerate this fission to provide the byproducts of uranium fission all the way down to ruthenium, like in 1,000 years, or less than 1,000. I don't know how fast these intervals are, but the amount of heat that produces would be insane. Like, this just does not work on the timescales he is talking about. I would love to see him, in some way demonstrate that lightning can start a uranium reaction. I don't get it. I don't understand. I am so baffled by this. Like, no, just because lightning is responsible for a fission event doesn't mean that it's responsible for this fission event, right? Just because it does create nitrogen-13 through a fission process from photo fission events doesn't mean it did this one, because this one isn't photofission, right? We have different products for that. And what we don't find in there is any of the products from the lightning. So where did they go? Maybe God teleported all of the products from the lightning away. Who knows? But this is a wild thing to say.
Instead of a reactor slowly burning for eons of time,
Right. And skeptic philosophy is right. That only happens in carbon. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, no, totally. But, I don't know, how is this supposed to, for a start, start off a fission reaction in uranium? Like, uranium, usually when it gets to a critical mass, it will start, that's when the fission starts. And so it doesn't burn out. It needs water and all kind. But how is this occurring with lightning exactly? And how did it get from the fission of this uranium decayed? Oh, look, I want to show you this because, like, it doesn't just come. Ruthenium just doesn't come about. It's through a decay chain, right? It doesn't just pop into existence. There's a decay chain that leads to ruthenium. Right. Oh, I'm in a weird place. Hold it. That's better. And I'll just hide the chat. There we go. So, this is the decay chain to ruthenium, right? Like, it starts all the way up here. It's not just enough to say, hey, there was a fission event and some byproducts got... No, you've got to decay it all the way down to ruthenium. And this is tech... I can't remember the name of it. Technetium. Yeah. Like, and this is very, very short. Its half-life is only 54 seconds, right? But you have other stuff, which is minutes. All of them seem to be quite short decay chains. They are quite short decay chains, but, I don't know how you're supposed to get all the way down this chain, all the way down. It's pretty wild. So yeah, I don't know. It's weird. He doesn't actually show though how he's doing it, like how lightning is actually doing this thing. It's special holy lightning. Yeah, I thought so. I thought so. It's special holy lightning. Yeah. It's weird. It's just strange, And he's sort of disagreeing with all of these experts that have pieced it together by saying, "But what if lightning struck it?" Like, it's so weird, right? It would be like you have an expert in the charging of batteries and stable energy sequestration, and you basically go, yeah, but what if we hit it with lightning? It kind of reminds me of that Trump comment when he's like talking to the person on health, and he goes, well, what if we put UV light inside somebody? And it's just like, nothing works that way, Matt. Like, seriously.
Imagine lightning strikes periodically hitting the region, triggering short bursts of fission. The heat would flash away any water, stopping the reaction before it went critical, and the process would happen time and time again.
Do you seriously think that lightning would boil all the water away, stopping the reaction before more water rushed in? What kind of lightning is this? Is this that teleportation lightning I've heard so much about? Like, seriously? He's done no experiments on this. He's done no actual, trying to find out how it works. And don't forget, this is kind of underground. How is this working?
Lightning-driven model explains the sudden spike of temperature, the on and off nature of the reaction, and why the depleted uranium shows extreme, tiny scale variations. It also explains how 16 separate...
No, it really doesn't. It doesn't. It doesn't explain why it shows variations. It doesn't. Because even if you want to claim the lightning did start the fission, it doesn't explain anything. Like, look, this is clearly underground. Does he know how lightning works? It's wild, right? Like, I don't know how far underground this is. I'll try and find out how far underground this is. Because seriously, you're saying lightning struck it when it's underground. Like, once lightning grounds, it's not striking anything. Boy. Oh, boy. How far underground is it? And once it's hit ground and it's grounded that electricity, it's not flash boiling away anything, right? Like, he does not understand how electricity works. Like, the reason why it builds up heat is because it's basically trying to get to ground and hits a place of high resistance. That's why it blows the crap out of a tree, right? But water, famously, not a lot of resistance. And yes, it can flash boil it, but it's surface water. He's talking about underground. Yeah, I don't know how far underground they are. There doesn't seem to be a lot of data on it. I mean, that's in the paper, but I don't really have time to read the entire paper on it because I mean, there's frigging papers on this stuff. That's the thing. Hang on a second. I do have. Oh, I have it. Okay, maybe I don't. There's been a ton of papers on this. It's you know. Oh, that's paywalled. I'm not doing that. Okay, but just keep in mind he's trying to say that lightning struck this uranium underground. It's magic lightning by the mole people, of course. I think. Thanks, Eric. I think Matt got struck by lightning at some point. You know what? It would explain a great deal, quite frankly. It would explain a lot.
Zones, far apart from one another, with totally different shapes, could all have experienced uranium-235
No,
depletion.
no. The shapes are because of the pockets of uranium. Come on, dude. Seriously? What the hell? Like, this isn't like you've got, like, fuel rods in a reactor where then, it's natural occurring uranium. It's almost like he sees this as, well, it's just, it's a fission event like a reactor. And he goes, it should be exactly like a nuclear reactor. No, they have fuel rods, and it's been, it's been enhanced. It's been, damn, Matt.
Rather than a slow, ancient reactor, Oklo looks like a pulsing, dynamic phenomenon in Earth's recent past.
How do you tell it's recent? It's recent? Like, how did you gauge that? The fission event should take ages. How did you get that? He doesn't. He wants it to be recent, so it's recent. He wants another explanation besides natural fission over time, so he just invents one. That's all he does. It's an invention. It's his imagination. It's all it is. It's ridiculous.
Sparked by the sky itself.
It was God. Yeah, I'm not sure if he's got anything else. No, that's it. So what did he actually give us that was demonstrable for this being lightning? Absolutely nothing. Oh, my camera's being weird. Just a sec. Absolutely nothing. Like, literally nothing. He's just said it was lightning. It would explain this when it doesn't. It doesn't explain how it got underground. It doesn't explain how the fissionable material got to its end state incredibly rapidly. He doesn't explain where all the heat would go in that incredibly rapid fission. He doesn't explain anything. He just says, hey, lightning. Yeah. That helps. Matt. It doesn't help. It doesn't help. Yeah, you can be sad with me, KB Burb. You can be sad with me. Yeah, lightning's powerful, but it's not magic. Like, it doesn't start fission reactors. It doesn't. Like, come on, dude, seriously. And the idea that it should be smooth and an even process like you would find in an actual reactor, no. Absolutely not. We have enriched uranium that's been made into fuel rods and it's highly controlled. This is not. This is a natural occurrence. Of course it shouldn't be the same. It's weird that you would think that it is. Like, just so weird that you would think that it is. Completely wild. Completely wild. Oh boy. Yeah. So U-235, it basically goes into such elements as barium and krypton and a large amount of energy. Yeah. Yeah. Thing is, if it had been these incredibly powerful short-term effects, you would just blow the crap out of the surrounding area. Like, that's the thing. You can't and this is very similar to the heat problem, where they're trying to explain away all the heat over billions of years from things like radioactive decay and the friction from plate tectonics, and all of this incoming energy and heat, and trying to explain it away, and they can't. It's impossible because it can't be mitigated. This is the same. You cannot mitigate that amount of energy within that short a time. It's impossible. And it does not fission like that. It's probing time. Nathan Oakley's daddy became a member, level commentator. Thank you so much, Probing Time. Welcome to the Madhouse. Welcome to readership. It is great to see you. Thank you so much. Yeah, I would imagine so. I think that it would leave a giant crater. If he's talking about that accelerated release of energy, I don't know how that is going to stay stable and then waiting the next lightning strike. It's so weird. It's just a weird idea. Like, that just doesn't make sense. It doesn't make sense. Oh, no worries, mate. All good, all good. But welcome back. Welcome back. It's good to see you back. It is. Gotta say. Do I have any of the freebies? Probably not. I think I gave them away this month, but I'll double check because I often forget. And so I will double check that I don't have any freebies going. Yeah, I don't. That's okay though. That's all right. It's all good. It's all good. All good. No worries at all. I just closed the wrong window, but that's all right. I can reopen it. I have this power. But and I want to sort of point out as well something that I've been sort of really pushing lately, that apologetics, and what he is doing is apologetics, is the opposite of science. Like, science, we go, okay, there is these uranium there, the 235's lower, why could that be? We do experiments, we do testing, we make predictions, we say, hey, if the fission product is less than this, then if it's higher than this amount, or sorry, less than this amount, then fission didn't take place. We're kind of, this is how we do science. What Matt's doing is he's got his conclusion first, that it's a young Earth and God did it. That's his conclusion. And he's basically making crap up to get himself to that conclusion. Oh, it was lightning. It was radioactive sparrows. It was water with seahorses that had been electrified by electric eels on it. Whatever he can get, whatever he can think of to get to the conclusion he started with originally. Never mind that lightning doesn't work like that. Never mind that, it's underground. Never mind any of these problems. Just something to get him to that conclusion. And it's terrible. Like, this is a low bar for Donny, and that's saying something. That lightning caused a fission reaction in uranium underground. I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry. That sounds like utter bullshit to me. That really does. I, you know, I. It is. Yeah, absolutely. I'll try and find the paper I was looking at because I did have the paper at some point. I definitely had it. I don't know why I didn't bookmark it. Um, Let me see. Should have been around here. Yeah, here we go. Natural fusion reactors in the basin. Oh yeah, I had it as a PDF. Yeah. I downloaded it. I remember now. I remember now. All right, maybe I'll download the PDF then. Security check? How dare you? I'm secure. How dare you? I'm trying to find how low down they were. Okay. I will get this up. Window would be fine. Yeah, so there's an entire paper on this, right? Like there's an entire paper. So there's a footwall of the mineralized layer. It's a good at least a few meters underground, which is enough to sort of yeah. So weathering 5 meters, 10 meters oxides. Core of the reactor is at least sort of 15 meters underground, right? So that's on Bax 3. So we're really talking about the cause of these things being underground. Like this is you're basically saying that lightning would penetrate, you know, what 12 meters deep. I don't think so. I don't think so. But there is a massive paper on this. I really highly recommend it. I will put it in the chat actually, just so people have access to it. Now, a lot of this stuff, yeah, it is geology. It's very hard to understand. I don't understand all of it, but I trust that these people thought of lightning, because it's just absurd. It's an absurdity. Um, Yep, and it's very, very dense with a lot of testing of different isotopes in it. But no isotopes from photofission from lightning. Just saying, none of that. That didn't happen. It's bullshit, absolute bullshit, and that is what this channel is peddling. And obviously, it's not Donny, but it is his channel, so he's responsible for what goes up on it. So yeah. And it's not just like he didn't mention all of the products, right? Like this conclusion, the fission products that they're talking about: samarium, neodymium. I don't know the others. Strontium, barium. That was the technetium, ruthenium, right? Like that. So they've basically gone through and identified all of these products which say that it was a fission event over billions of years. Like this isn't even an argument. And it's weird because Donny loves to talk about rescue devices, right? Like, oh, this is a rescue device and talk about a rescue device. Oh, lightning. I I would say it's a rescue device, but it's like throwing a drowning man an anvil. You know, like come on, dude. That doesn't explain anything. Whereas it absolutely is explained by by um, um, just a sustained fission reaction. Just a sustained fission reaction. So yeah, nope. Nice try, Matt. No, I'm not even going to say that. No, it wasn't a nice try. It wasn't even a nice try. It was a desperate attempt to make something work that doesn't work. Okay, and just because that's way too short, and I'm not going to leave you with just that. Um, I've got another video of Donny's here, and this one is the man himself, Donny Deals, talking about the Genesis flood, kangaroos, and migration. The truth might surprise you. I'll bet, because this is a problem for young Earth creationists. Is biogeography, right? Like, so why are certain animals in some locations and not in others? Especially when, if evolution doesn't exist, they would have to be the same as they are today, right? And the one that I love to refer to is the koala, right? Because the koala, it will only eat eucalyptus leaves, and even more than that, it will only eat some variations of eucalyptus leaves. It needs the eucalyptus oil inside of them. It's a defense mechanism, but it has evolved to only eat eucalypts. And somehow the koala made it from the Ark all the way over to Australia with not one eucalyptus tree in between them, and somehow survived, which is wild, absolutely wild. But here's Genesis flood, kangaroos, and migration. Now, Andy McIntosh, I looked this guy up, right? Andy McIntosh. I'm like, oh, he's got to be some kind of young Earth creationist, you know, biologist or something. Maybe he does chemical sort of chemical biology or something like that. No, no, no. No, I just looked him up again. He had something nothing to do with it. Where is his thing? Um, he's a mathematician and an engineer. His research has been in combustion in fluids and solids. So the question arises. The question arises. Well, yeah. I mean, they've absolutely pickled their brain on eucalyptus. That's the thing. Like, it's actually a poison, and they basically, like, they're high half the time. That's the thing about koalas. They're absolutely off their heads half the time. Um, so this guy's a mathematician and engineer. So what is he doing talking about biogeography and evolution? Who knows? Why not? He's got a degree. Let's just stuff him up the front and get him to talk about it. Wild, right? Yes, he starts with magic. That's right. This is a supernatural event. Okay, why didn't he just supernaturally remove all the humans on Earth? I don't know. Yeah, that's true. They can. It's definitely not their preferred food, and famously, none of those are in between here and the Levant anyway. Okay, so I've got a problem here. You're basically saying that the koalas went all the way from Australia to the Ark, or did they start out somewhere else? Like, this is what I want to know. Because if they had to go all the way, yeah, exactly, Kiwi. None of those trees are there. Like, that's the thing about evolution and biogeography. It basically, we understand why certain animals eat certain things and only in their areas. It's because they evolved there to eat those things. But Donny has to somehow explain how koalas get all the way to the Middle East, leaving their trees behind. Maybe they took like a bundle with them. I don't know. It just gets more and more ridiculous. But it sounds like he's trying to appeal to supernatural magic, which is wild to start off with, because usually they'll avoid that. Because here's the thing, if God's using magic to get them there and back, why not just use magic to skip the flood altogether and just wipe out all the humans except for the ones you want? Just poof them out of existence. It makes no sense to go through all of this rigmarole with a flood and an ark and animals and two of every kind. It doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So he's already tripped up on, well, it's a supernatural event. Yeah, let's take them. And while we're there, let's take the monotremes, the echidna and the platypus, who are like completely isolated again from other mammals and marsupials. How did they get there? Echidna famously very slow, very, very slow. Kind of. There are some. So marsupials didn't originate in Australia, and this is what you've got to understand about biogeography. It's basically they originated in South America, but when the Earth was connected via Antarctica, they walked across there. And what happened was that a superior form of um, um, predator evolved in South America and North America. There's still opossums, they're still marsupials, they're the only ones left in Northern America. And we know all of this through fossil records. Oh, I'm not showing my screen, am I? That's terrible. You don't know what I'm talking about. I do apologize. That's terrible. Is that better? There we go. Okay. Hold it. I'll go back. But
is a supernatural event.
Yes.
God started the flood. God is Lord over the flood. God would have sent the animals to the ark. The question is, after the great flood and your ark animals leave the ark, now they have to migrate. And so how did certain animals, let's say these marsupials, or what I see in the comment section are questions dealing with koala bears and also kangaroos. How after the flood did they get to their respective locations?
Well, today they let's just take kangaroos and some of these other marsupial creatures. They are rather peculiar today to Australia.
Yeah, that's where I said, yeah, not necessarily. There are some, like there's a few marsupials left in South America and a few, like one left in North America, which is like the opossum. But the thing was, they evolved originally in South America. They migrated ages ago, and then the ties to Australia were cut. So no what's called eutherians, which is us and other mammals, the placental mammals, evolved in Australia because they evolved elsewhere, right? Like, so that was cut off from the rest, and that's why there aren't any eutherians that are kind of apex predators, like, you know, you have bobcats and leopards and jaguars and stuff like that. Oh, yeah, there are some around Southeast Asia, sure, for the same reasons that the eutherians didn't evolve there, they didn't move there. So the apex predators of Australia are things like what used to be the thylacine, Tasmanian tiger, reptiles, insects. You know, they really are not you know, there aren't any, or there didn't used to be any mammal predators, and that's why when you introduce something like that, they're very, very, very that they will destroy the ecology because they're so much better at their niches, and that's why they don't exist in South America and Northern America much anymore. It's because there was much more dangerous eutherians like jaguars and stuff like that, coyotes and things that really occupied those predatory niches. The last one in Australia was the thylacine, and that used to occupy that spot until the Europeans got here and kind of Tasmanian tigered it. Yeah, Indonesia, yeah, Southeast Asia, correct. Yes, you are right. Yep. Much for the same reasons. They never had eutherians evolve there. It's just the case that Australia was migrated to by marsupials, and then it was kind of split off all by itself. Look, people have been ignoring my country for ages, and that's why but that's how evolution explains it. You've got to explain how these marsupials got from not only the Middle East to Australia, but also to South America, with none of their environment in between, and they are significantly different between the ones in South America and the ones in Australia. Like, you need to explain that, and they're basically making some crap up.
However, just be aware that that doesn't necessarily mean the case that they've always been only in what we now call Australia. Okay?
They're not. They're not. It's just there is a massive concentration of them. And what the more interesting thing is why there are no eutherians. That's the more interesting thing, right? Because if animals are migrating from the arc down, you would expect for some eutherians to make it to Australia, right? You'd expect, if they're all migrating, why didn't bobcats make it there? Why didn't, coyotes make it there? Why do we only have like dingoes, which are wild dogs that were brought later by the First Nations people? Why is it that humans had to transport? Like, why didn't they just move down there? Because they didn't evolve there. They weren't ever there. That's the thing. It's kind of wild to hear this.
Now, so you could have had other parts of the world populated by such creatures or creatures similar to them, right? So that's the first point to make. You don't, just because we only have them now in Australia doesn't mean that they weren't in the past in other places such as South America. And that this is the first point. The second point is this: we don't know what the world looked like immediately after the flood and the animals dispersed.
I dread to think. Like, why that we get, marsupials like the kangaroo all the way over in Australia, and I might add more sort of basal fossils over there, but we don't get any in between. Like, explain that to me, because that doesn't make any sense. And like I said, the koala, why do we have all of the eucalyptuses that in Australia and none outside of it? It's so wild. Like, we might not have known what the world looked like, but we know the distances in between them, and we know, we know that there was no flood to begin with. That's the thing.
The reason is this: the level of water in the world could have been actually much lower than it is now. For instance, look at, in your mind, I can't put it up, but
it doesn't matter, because you've got to explain why only marsupials moved to Australia and no other mammals did, right? No tigers, no lions, no coyotes, no African plain dogs, why was it just the marsupials? That's the question. And no amount of, the water could have been lower. Yeah, it would have been lower for the other predators as well. It doesn't solve the problem, because you have to explain why there aren't any other animals in Australia. Yeah? Cool, go for it.
If I could find my slide showing that, I put it up. But
Please
imagine,
don't.
just look at the map of the world and imagine the Pacific Ocean, which is absolutely huge. Of course, we all know that. And you see America on the right, and you see South America, and then on the left, you'll see the edge of Russia, and all coming down.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay, so we've got to. It always, at least he's not an American doing geography. Okay, that's where I draw the line. Quite frankly, that's where I draw the line. But he is a British guy doing geography. So let's see. So we've got our world map here. All right. So that's a, well, kind of. Oh, here we go. This is our world map, right? Pacific is just giant. Well, yeah, I mean, but the Atlantic's pretty big as well. Like, seriously, Arctic Ocean, yeah. They're oceans. Of course they're massive. Yeah.
Down through the Far East, down to Australia. Now, if you put people have done this, and actually you can find videos of this. If you reduce the sea level down, and I'll give you a reason why the sea level may have been less in a moment, you actually see that the Bering Strait, which is in between the islands coming off Alaska and Russia, that begins to connect. And also, you'll find that on the western part of the Pacific Ocean, the islands of Indonesia begin to connect. There is one place which is called the Wallace Divide, which is still pretty deep. I'll come to that. But
okay, so let's have a look at our map. So instead of going like from the Middle East, okay, so we're around Turkey and Syria here, right? Jordan, obviously. So in the Middle East here, instead of going down around through Indonesia and down, he's basically saying, hey, what they did was they went over the Bering Strait from Russia to Alaska? Is that what we're saying? He did say the Bering Strait, didn't he? Yeah, I think he did say that. Holy crap. All right. I'm not sure what that would achieve. I don't... Why the Bering Strait?
to connect from the bottom of China and Japan begins to connect back down to Australia. So this now raises some issues. And of course, New Guinea as well begins to connect with Australia as you drop the water level. Now,
sure, no one's kind of arguing that. Like, no one's arguing that. But that means that we had a flood, and the aftermath of the flood, the water level was lower, and then it raised? What?
You say, well, what are you getting at here, Andy? Well, if you have, as very much the geology suggests, a lot of ice after the worldwide flood, that would lock.
The geology suggests a lot of ice after the worldwide flood. Number one, geology suggests no global flood. That's number one. Number two, if there was a flood, it does not suggest a lot of ice. Ice, famously, prone to not flooding. Why does a flood suggest ice? Wow.
Up a lot of the water in the present seas in the northern hemisphere glaciation, to a certain extent, a southern hemisphere glaciation. So what I'm suggesting to you is that rather than, as traditional geology suggests, multi-ice ages, because they have long periods of time and they talk about 3 major ice ages, they talk about, the last ice age, and because they're thinking of multiple ice ages over hundreds of thousands of years. I am maintaining that the biblical worldview gives 4,500 years ago a worldwide flood.
And then ice glaciers, for some reason. that we have no record of. I don't remember the early people complaining about an ice age, it's circa, 4,000 years ago. I didn't see the hieroglyphs about glaciers by the Egyptians. What am I watching right now?
The worldwide flood was caused by tremendous volcanic activity. Imagine Mount St. Helens in 1980, right, which is a very small, much smaller version of what if you put all the volcanoes going off together in the ring of fire going all the way around the Pacific Ocean that I just mentioned, right? So you've got huge volcanoes going off like Mount Erebus in Antarctica. You've got the volcanoes in the Andes going off altogether. You've got the volcano.
I think you're going off, mate. I think you're off your rocker. I think you're absolutely off. You're off the trolley. Like, really, what are you talking about? Are you trying to say that that volcanoes created some kind of metamorphic rock for them to cross on? What are you saying? Like, this is like, oh, well, there could be glaciers after the flood. No, Australian marsupials famously deal really well with ice and freezing conditions. Famously. You get all of those kangaroos in the Antarctic. It's fantastic. Famously deal so well with ice. What are you, my guy? Seriously. And if the koalas walked across the ice, where were the eucalyptus trees? Eucalyptus trees famously don't grow where ice is. We don't deal with evidence around here, Kiwi Burb. No, you just find something and keep saying it until people think it's correct. That's essentially it. Like, we don't deal with facts and evidence and things like that. Come on now. You can't show it wasn't a glacier.
Volcanoes in the Cascades in the western United States, going all the way up to where some of you are in British Columbia, and a lot of very high mountains there. And if you start going all the way around the Pacific Ocean, you've got a ring, what we call a ring of fire. Imagine that ring of fire going off all together, right? Not different times, but going off all together at the time of the flood.
Okay. What? That would probably, that sounds like a bigger explosion than the Yellowstone supervolcano, which would probably wipe out a decent chunk of the earth. Like, my guy, seriously, just explain how volcanoes going off gets you to, like, is he trying to say that the animals, hang on a sec, let's get our map. So I think what he's trying to say, and it's hard to tell because he's pretty, like, incoherent, is that they went from the Middle East here, where Turkey, Syria and stuff, the Ark landed, they went up through Russia, all the way across Russia, across the Bering Sea, into Alaska, down through Canada, down through Mexico, maybe, and then the Pacific. All these things these volcanoes popped up, or maybe they just went to the US and then the volcanoes popped up, providing stepping stones to move back over the Pacific into Australia. Like, please tell me that's not what he's saying, because that would just be so dumb. No, actually, please tell me that's what he's saying, because that would be fantastic. Like, seriously.
Remember, I said that I talked about the Atlantic being formed at the time of the flood, but also the evidence is that the Pacific was nowhere near as deep as it is now. It's about.
There is no evidence for this. There is no evidence for this. We're aware of seafloor spreading. We're aware of subduction zones that create trenches in the. We're aware of all of this. There is nothing to suggest that the Pacific. The Earth was in a different configuration, sure, but. Plate tectonics, it was billions of years ago. You can't just whiz them round like frisbees to get what you want. And they don't, this guy doesn't believe in plate tectonics. He's a catastrophist, which means that he believes that the flood did all of the geological stuff. So he's got to explain how it happened, and this is ridiculous. He's got to appeal to every single volcano in the Pacific simultaneously erupting. I feel like if that happened, there would maybe that's what caused the glaciers from, a nuclear winter kind of thing. It blocks the sun, and that's why it was so cold. But what you'd probably expect is for every single one of those Australian marsupials used to living in 40-degree weather to drop dead.
7 miles deep.
Yeah, and that's a good point. How did they survive the ash? Just keep throwing against the wall, see what sticks, mate.
Hugely deep ocean. Nobody's yet gone right to the bottom of the Pacific Ocean properly and mapped all of it, mapped some of it, but not all of it. So the point I'm getting at here is that if you've got all the volcanoes going off at the time of the flood, and remember the flood split open the Earth's crust. Now we come to the end of the flood.
Isn't the Mariana Trench in the Pacific? Isn't the Mariana Trench in the Pacific? I mean, we certainly haven't mapped it all, but we've gone pretty deep in the Pacific. That's what
land masses roughly, but not exactly like they are now, because there is a huge amount of dust now in the atmosphere, right? So the sun would be occluded, and that would lead to one ice age. Strangely enough, it's when you have a lot of warm water evaporating, plus a lot of...
Yes, that's exactly what he's saying. He's saying that all the volcanoes erupting at the same time caused an ice age for, I don't know, a few hundred years, I guess. Yeah. Yeah, nah, mate. No.
Clouds of dust from volcanic activity in the Earth's atmosphere. These are the conditions for forming an ice age, right? People don't realize that. You don't form an ice age by a frozen Earth. You form an ice age when you get a large amount of evaporation carrying dust, which then stops the Earth's radiation getting through. So for years, possibly 100 years in this period after the flood, you get an ice age. Most people think
100 years after the flood, you get an ice age. It's funny how the Bible doesn't mention it, right? It's kind of funny that the Bible doesn't mention it at all. I don't remember the Tower of Babel being, they had to sweep away all of the snow because there was an ice age. What are you talking about? Didn't Noah... Yeah, hang on a second. Noah began farming and planting a vineyard, right? And he became drunk from the wine, leading to a family conflict, which is like Ham saw him naked and mocked him kind of thing. So, his son saw him naked and mocked him because he was hanging out with his wanging out in the middle of his vineyard because he got drunk. How was there an ice age if he had a vineyard? He had a vineyard. Famously, grapes grow fantastic in icy weather. Famously, all of the great wine producing areas just in the middle of cold areas, Alaska, fantastic wine from Alaska, and Russia, fantastic wine from... Does this guy even know what he's saying?
The northern hemisphere suffered the most. The evidence for it is U-shaped valleys and the picking up of massive amounts of sedimentary material, huge rocks, granites, and metamorphic rocks.
Yeah, that was ice ages that lasted, millions of years, ages ago. Ice ages don't last 100 years. Andy McIntosh, biologist and climate scientist. Wow.
Being moved huge distances. How did that happen?
Oh yeah, that's having your cake and eating it too. Kiwi Burb. The volcanoes cause ash, which causes the ice age, and they also solve it by heating it afterwards. Yeah, that's wild. That's wild.
Because ice sheets carried these rocks. Okay. Also, I'm not going to go into.
Look, I don't think he's even convincing Donny. Even Donny's like, wow, this is some wild ass stuff. I haven't seen Donny this like skeptical looking since Kent Hovind was talking about his, fountains of the deep launched asteroids into the moon. You know what I mean? Like, he's just, look at him. He's like, I'm not sure I'm on board with you. This one. Wow. Wow.
To great detail on this, but if you really need a geologist on this program, but most of us think.
You think? I don't think they'd agree with you. I really don't. I've never heard this before in my life, ever. Like, this is wild.
That the Grand Canyon, for instance, was formed at the end of the flood by a massive amount of water.
Yeah. But they don't grow grapes in the wintertime, my guy. They don't grow grapes in the wintertime.
So carrying the debris into what is now the edge of the Pacific, obviously coming down to that area, Arizona through to California. So in the bottom of the Colorado River, it's actually carrying that huge amount of debris. Now, so an awful lot of carving of the Earth's present structure was towards the end of the flood, the pushing up of the Himalayas, the pushing up of the Andes.
That's subduction, my guy. That's just sort of one plate being shoved. I mean, India is still pushing up against the Himalayas. They haven't stopped. That's the thing. Like, India's still traveling north, very, 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 very slowly, and we can measure that. Like, you think the waters pushed up a mountain? So this is the weird thing about creationists. Like, when you say, hey, how did a wooden boat that size stop from twisting and turning? Oh, well, it was relatively calm. Well, how did the Himalayas get there? Oh, the waves pushed it up. Like, you can't do this. You can't use the same explanations to make such contradictory claims. As somebody pointed out, like, you have volcanoes that create this ash, but that causes an ice age. But then how did Noah survive? Wow.
The pushing up of the Pyrenees and the Alps and all the rest of it is at the end of the flood. This then precipitates the volcanoes pushing up their remainder of dust into the atmosphere. Now the waters are actually subsiding, but not to the present level. Why? Because of the ice age. I'm sorry, it's a long answer.
Well, I mean, I don't get how, like, because he said they went up and crossed the Bering Strait, and that's fine, right? That definitely used to be connected. I get that. I mean, yeah, it was probably, hundreds of thousands, if not millions of years ago, but it was connected, right? Alaska and Russia were connected through the Bering Strait. I get that. But where are they going to get to Australia once they hit the United States? Okay, that's what I want to know. Like, he's sort of talking about a glacier and the Pacific volcanoes erupting to make it cold enough for a glacier, but where is that? I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, at one point, we can sort of say billions of years ago, the South America was connected to Australia through Antarctica, and that's where the animals migrated, leaving them in South America, less in North America, and eutherians, as I pointed out, they never made it to Australia. So, because they evolved elsewhere, crossed the Bering Strait between Europe and America, right? So all of this is explained very well, but I don't understand from when it gets to, like, Canada, right? How does it get across there? Like, so let me get the map that, hey, he told me to get a map so I can understand it, right? Shouldn't I be able to, I should be able to do a, something to mark the screen. Yeah, I guess I can do that. I'll just grab a little map here. And I'll swap over. Sorry, just 1 second. I do apologize. I didn't have this all going straight away. Window, that one. Okay. So this is our thing, right? So happy here. Where's my pen? That's a pen, pencil. Oh, I get colors. Awesome. So we've got to start right in the Middle East. So Turkey, Syria, right about here. Oh, that's very fat. I'm not sure I want it that fat. Okay, so we start in the Middle East around here, right? Turkey, Syria, Jordan. And usually what they kind of say is that the animals came down here, right? Down through here to Australia. That's where the marsupials went. That's what they usually say, right? That's the usual explanation of how they got there, which raises a lot of questions, but, you know, not as many as this guy is raising. So this guy mentioned that they went up. I just want to make sure I'm showing that correctly. Yeah, cool. So what happened? It vanished. Why did you vanish? What? Hang on a sec. I'll try again. Is that showing? Yeah, okay. So he's basically saying that they came up through here, across Russia, across the Bering Strait, which connects Alaska, right? And then I kind of lost where he went from here, right? Where did he go from here? Because he's talking about, and I'll grab a sort of, you know, fiery hot thing. So the Ring of Fire, I think that's around the Hawaiian Islands. It's like around here, I think, right? So the Ring of Fire includes Hawaii and these islands down here. So it's like all of these volcanoes. But where did they go? Like, where the fuck did they go? Did they go, like, across here? And he's talking about a glacier providing them access. Does that mean the entirety of, like, this area, like, glaciered up? Because that would be a massive glacier, right? That would be the biggest glacier. Like, how did this frigging happen? Like, he got to here, like, crossed the Bering, because that was, he said that was shallow, and that was probably connected. Sure, they could have done that. Where the hell did they go from there? I do not understand this in the slightest. This is something I have never seen before. This is astounding. Like, did the entire Pacific ice up? If so, how? It's an ocean. Like, there may have been glaciers during an ice age, but the entire ocean didn't freeze. Did the volcanoes do something? He hasn't explained a damn thing. This is crazy. This is crazy. I am so stupefyingly confused at where he's going. I really do. What the hell?
But locking up much of the water then in the ice in particular in the northern hemisphere, but to a certain extent also in the southern hemisphere, then means that you've got a much lower water level, sea level, and you can connect all these land masses.
The Pacific, the place that you said was so deep we haven't even explored it yet. That Pacific. So he's basically saying that because there was more ice, the Pacific was shallow enough to go from island to island. The Pacific. My guy, that's ridiculous. Like, seriously. That is one of the stupidest things I've ever heard. I'm not calling him stupid. I'm sure he's very good in his field, but like, he does engineering and stuff. This is so wild that these islands in the Pacific the Pacific was so drained for these islands to be connected. I mean, come on, seriously? Seriously, a huge sandbar. Yeah, exactly. The world's greatest sandbar. Wow.
Then you've still got the issue of the Wallace Divide, which is a very deep trench in
Yeah.
between bits of Indonesia.
The Wallace Divide. I'm not familiar with this one, I must admit. Yeah, okay, so it's a natural boundary. Oh, well, yeah, see, that's not... I don't have a problem with the Wallace Divide. My problem is draining the Pacific so much to be able to cross it from island to island. That is ridiculous. So the Wallace Divide, it looks like it's just in between, like, Indonesia and Australia. It's not a great big deal. It's not a great big deal.
And the Australasia continent. Well, that's easily answered by the fact there's a lot of debris and mats of vegetation floating around, and the animals could easily get to Australia and could then start populating. Now, as the water level begins to drop further towards the level that we've got now.
And Donny's nodding. Don't nod for this, Donny. Have some integrity. Have some decency. Have some sort of self-awareness. Don't nod for this, Donny. Come on, you're better than that. Just put on your face of, you know, this is my life now, and sit in your resignation that you're going to hear wackadoodle stuff like this. Just put on that face. Sit back. Yeah, this is a 1,000-yard stare we expect from Donny when he hears this stuff. Don't nod to this, man. Seriously. Seriously. Debris. So now the kangaroos and koalas are surfing over on debris. You got to wonder why they needed an ark at all. Why didn't they just, you know, find floating vegetation mats and just ride out that flood on the mats? And the question comes, right? The original question, the real problem is, why did the marsupials make it to Australia but nothing else did? Right? That's the question. Were mountain lions incapable of surfing on vegetation mats? Was it only marsupials that acquired this skill? And if so, where do I find these surfing kangaroos? What? Oh dear. Oh dear. Could the hippos not surf? Apparently not. What am I saying? Why would that make sense? This is the wildest thing I've heard off of Donny's channel for quite some time, and I've heard a lot. This look, don't nod to this man, Donny. Come on, have some pride, sir. Have some pride. Come
after
on.
These conditions, after the Ice Age, then some creatures which originally were surviving, maybe in South America, they didn't survive as Australia's very distinctive creatures.
Why not? Why not, Andy? Why didn't they survive? Why didn't they survive? Come on, he's almost there. He's almost got it. Why didn't they survive?
I mean, they've got some creatures like ours, but they've also got a lot of marsupials. What I'm saying is that there is evidence that there is some fossilized marsupials in the South American continent.
Yeah.
Which is not surprising, because I think the animals generally went every which way to get safety after the flood.
No.
And they tended to go down south. Now, what I'm saying...
Yeah, south. Famously, yeah. Okay, they went south. The emus could surf. Yep. Well, you've got to presume that the Kiwis did this as well, Kiwi Burb. They just, you know, took a left turn at Albuquerque when they were crossing the frozen Pacific and decided, hey, New Zealand, that's an awesome place. Hobbits and stuff. Sure. Yes, there are living ones there, but there is fossil evidence and that's where they originated from. Absolutely. Yeah, I get you.
Saying is, you've got to take account of the fact that the world isn't quite the same now as it was immediately after.
No, we take that into account. And we don't do it with the flood. We do it with like millions of years of tectonic movement of plates. We absolutely take that into account. It's just that what you've described is so ridiculously implausible, and it doesn't answer the question of why the marsupials could find their way to Australia and no other kind of animal can. None of the placental mammals that we are made it there until people brought them later. That's the thing. The dingoes were brought there. They were actually brought over there. They didn't just form there. They didn't evolve there. But he almost got there. He was almost there. You know, it's almost like they originated in South America and then moved elsewhere. And the reason why the marsupials survived in great numbers in Australia was that no predators evolved there while they did in South America and North America. That is why. It explains everything. But he's got a conclusion already. It's a young Earth, God, flood, geology done by magic volcanoes and things, you know. And he has to find that outcome. Again, this is Apologetics 101. Have your conclusion. Find anything you can to get you there. And Andy here, he is just throwing stuff and seeing what sticks. Not very well.
Flood. And secondly, you've got the issue of sea level and ice age. Sorry, that was a long answer.
No need to apologize.
It's a long answer and doesn't explain what we see. Because if there was this ability to get over there, we would see other animals. Because here's the thing. You're saying that all of the animals originated at the same spot, but only the marsupials got to Australia when no other type of animal can. Why? And why don't we see their fossils in between? Right? There's an easy answer for this. Other animals didn't evolve in Australia.
Apologize, Professor McIntosh. I love comprehensive responses to these types of challenges and questions.
Yeah, pity you don't like coherent responses, Donny. Zing, got him.
That's what I call a video clip worthy answer. Here on
Yeah, that bar, it must be very low. I think that it definitely is a fundamentalist fail worthy answer. Wow. Wild. Absolutely wild.
on the channel, we oftentimes make clips from our larger programs answering common questions that people can access and find a good answer to. And so if I'm understanding a lot of what you said correctly, firstly, in terms of the ice age, a single ice age after the flood, from a creationist starting point or perspective, we actually have a good explanation or the mechanism for an ice age, whereas your conventional scientists, they would struggle with that.
Yeah, there wasn't an ice age around, 4000 BC. I'm really sorry, mate. Well, I don't think there was. When was the last ice age? I think it was like 40,000, I think. No, 115,000 years ago. Yeah, there was no ice age there. And you would expect that people would record an ice age, and you would expect that Noah wouldn't be growing grapes during the ice age. Like, there is so much wrong with this. Even internally to the Bible, this can't work. And you also have the Tower of Babel, like 100 years later, where they built a tower to the heavens, the likes of which nobody has ever seen before. Are you saying that they worked up to that during an ice age? Come on, guy. You can't be this ridiculous, seriously.
Yes, they do. Because they are insisting on multiple ice ages.
Right.
Sure.
We're saying that actually they haven't a clue where the ice ages came from. They talk about Milankovitch cycles.
Yes, we do. That's because Milankovitch cycles are a thing. Oh, I did clear 2.5? Oh, really? Are you sure? I don't think so. I think you're lying to me to make me happy. If we did, we're gonna party hardy. Let's see. Oh, I did. Wow. Okay. Look, party time. Party time, people. I really would like to thank everybody. You are here when it happened. Give yourself a pat on the back. When we reach 2.5, it's only the beginning, or possibly the end. I don't know. Possibly I'll have an ice age, because apparently you can just throw those in wherever. Apparently you don't need to know that there was an ice age or have evidence for it. You can just say, hey, there was a mechanism that I made up that caused an ice age. It's now an ice age. 2.5, thank you so much, everybody. That's awesome. That's awesome. You know, obviously couldn't done without you. I mean, yeah, that's obvious. But thank you so much, everyone. I was so looking forward to this. I was like, yeah. I'm chuffed. I'm absolutely chuffed. You've made my day, Ember, just pointing that out. Thank you. I had no idea. I really have to check my stats more, but I'm terrible at it. But thank you so much, everyone. That is awesome. You're here for it. It's fantastic seeing you all. It's fantastic talking to you all. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. I am so happy. Yeah, fantastic. Thanks, STS. Really appreciate it, mate. I really do. You know, I'm doing my best, and that's all I can do, right? I just do my best, and that's it. So yeah, absolutely fantastic. I am so chuffed. I am so chuffed. Thanks, J Sam. Thanks, Cuba. How was the rainbow able to form with all that volcanic ash in there? Yeah. Maybe it was a rainbow in the ash. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm as bewildered as you. I haven't heard anything this wild since the lunar Bukkake. It really is that bad. Holy crap.
Mm-hmm.
But they haven't actually. Those Milankovitch cycles don't justify the what's the word? The inception of an ice age. No.
Yeah, they do. And there's other factors as well. Like we think that the Ice Age, Donny on for a Q&A? What do you mean? Me giving him a Q&A? I mean, that would be interesting. I'd rather debate Donny, but he won't debate me. He's a spoil sport. Maybe. I mean, I can ask James. I've never thought about it. Yep, absolutely. You didn't know, did you? There was an ice age outside. You weren't even aware. I mean, you can even grow grapes in it, apparently. So yeah, there's that. Look, I don't know. I mean, Donny, I know, is very busy. You know, doing his thing, doing his channel. I could ask. It's not a problem. Generally, Donny really wants to talk about evolution, though. So yeah, I suppose so.
You can actually use a Milankovitch theory, which is to do with how far away how the orbits of the Earth oscillate between.
Yep.
It's difficult to explain.
Yeah, you know the wild thing? From ice core samples from the Antarctic, you know, those ice core samples that we get that are layers of freezing and thawing, we can tell they're yearly layers. Awesome stuff. Ice core samples, they go back, I think the latest was like 1 point something million years. It used to be 800,000, but I think an Australian team went back even further. Ice core samples. Yeah, like 2.7 continuous ice core, 1.2 million years. Yeah, really good. Really well done. So we can go back and they can actually line up the Milankovitch cycles to those ice core samples, like, because they can tell from the freezing and thawing how much, how strong the sunlight was at that time. So they can actually line up the Milankovitch cycles with these ice cores. How cool is that? Like, they can actually tell what was happening in the environment from ice core samples. Freaking amazing. Amazing.
Without a diagram here, but it's to do with the fact that our orbit isn't quite circular, and you get cycles where the Earth,
yes,
the Earth can be just a little bit further away from the.
Well, there's more to it, right? It's not just, hey, you know, it's just Milankovitch cycles and that's it. There's a lot more to it. For instance, the Chicxulub, the meteorite that hit in, you know, the Gulf of Mexico, or the Gulf of America if you're a moron, I'm sorry. That was a bit harsh. I just think that why rename it? It's fine. I'm going to call it Gulf of Mexico. If you have a problem, I don't care. You know, that meteorite, it's suspected that it was either the meteorite throwing up, you know, ash and debris, or the volcanoes doing the same thing that it triggered that caused an ice age, right? It's not just the Milankovitch cycle. There's a lot to it. I mean, part of it is the carbon dioxide. It can act as a greenhouse that causes it to get warmer. There's so much more to it. Like when plants originally developed, they caused massive climate changes. The climate isn't just, well, Milankovitch cycles and that's it. No, that's not what we're talking about here.
Sun a bit, and therefore be a little bit cooler, and then come back to being more what it is today. It's not to do with just 1 year. It's to do with the way the orbit of the...
Oh yeah, they get tons of stuff from it. They get pollen from it. They get even, like, apparently you can see where humans industrialized from the level of pollution in the air, like in the later ice core. Like, it's wild how much they can tell from these ice core samples, as well as from bubbles inside the ice core samples, the composition of the atmosphere at the time. Just incredible stuff. And you know, it's really annoying that you have this, you know, this sort of type of glaciology, and young Earth creationists just hand wave it away. They go, oh, the Lost Squadron, and that is the stupidest response. Like, it is just, you know, you're hand waving away just something that people have worked really hard on and got us so much information about the history of the planet over, and they just hand wave it. It's annoying.
Earth and the elliptical orbit itself, that elliptical line, or the trace of the ellipsis, gradually shifts, right, over
Yes.
so-called hundreds of thousands of years. Well,
yeah, and that's the thing. If you had the Ring of Fire in the Pacific all erupt at the same time, yes, you would see something in the ice core samples to show that. What was it, like after the flood? So 3,000 years ago, I presume, something around there, 3,200, I think it is. We don't see it. We don't see it. And, you know, you might say, oh, these civilizations have legends about a flood. Well, a lot of areas flood, yes. A lot of civilizations have stories about floods, because floods happen to civilizations. But not only that, there's no legends and stories about an ice age from, what, just over 3,000 years ago? Come on now. Come on.
It's not to say that Milankovitch is wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But I don't believe the world's been here for as many as hundreds of thousands of years. But there is a slight change in the elliptical orbit, right, as you go.
Oh, I agree with the scientists studying Milankovitch cycles, but I don't believe the Earth has been around there for that long, so they can't be right. Okay. I mean, talk about, like, putting a conclusion before the actual evidence, you know, like, wow.
Through these cycles. But of course, the cycle is a very long period, and that's where I say I don't think we're even through one period of a Milankovitch cycle.
Yeah, I realize that, yeah.
But my main point is this, that even if you did have all these hundreds of thousands of years, you wouldn't have really, in the Milankovitch theory, a justification for the formation of an ice age.
Right.
Yeah, but it's not just the Milankovitch cycles. There's so many things inputting into the climate of our planet. Like, you know, I feel like I shouldn't have to explain this, that lots of things alter the planet. The albedo has an impact on the planet, i.e. how much ice is reflecting sunlight. There's many things that have an impact on the climate of the planet. You can't just say, well, the Milankovitch cycles don't match up, so therefore it can't. No, nobody is saying that. Nobody's saying the ice ages are exactly in tune with the Milankovitch cycles. Nobody, not one person is saying that.
Because for an ice age, you need hot water evaporating and lots of dust in the atmosphere. The only way you can get it is by having large volcanic activity with a lot of massive disturbance of the water such that it's heated up, and everything is pointing towards the worldwide flood. This is the one way.
I'm sorry, the water heated up, but there's ice. Okay. Okay. I don't think you do. I think just a change in conditions is totally fine. Like this, don't forget that this guy has no expertise in climatology, geology, anything to do with the subject. Hell, he's not even, any kind of biologist at all. But he wants to talk about it. What was his thing? He was like a mechanical engineer. The amount of mechanical engineers that just suddenly decide they're going to talk about stuff outside their field is just horrific. It's horrific. Like, seriously. Wow.
By which you can start getting ice forming at the poles to a much greater extent than what we have today. And all the evidence shows that the ice came right down to the middle of Spain and covered completely the British Isles, covered a huge amount, obviously, of Canada, which is in the north anyway, but a good part of the United States. So everything says it's one ice age and formed after the worldwide flood.
But you're claiming that ice lowered the ocean in the Pacific to such a degree that it was possible to walk from the United States to Australia, going from island to island. Wow. Yeah. But it warmed up, and then there was ice from an ice age. Okay. Wow.
If you want more on this, go to Mike Ord's book, Ice Ages. I can't remember what the full title is. I've got it here in my bookshelf. But as you talk, I might be able to find it.
Ice Ages for people that talk nonsense.
Yes, I've got several of Mike
Ice Ages for creationists. The Dummy's Guide to Ice Ages for creationists.
Ord's books too. We recently had Mike Ord on actually for a comprehensive seminar on the Ice Age and everything we're talking about here. Yeah. And so he's great.
I can't put my hand to the book, but it's on my bookshelf behind me if I can only find it. If we look for it on the World Wide Web.
But they don't have any actual evidence of this. What they're saying is that we don't think that Milankovitch cycles have been going long enough. We have this event, creationism, this catastrophism kind of event. It is like we're going to line it up with an ice age so we can get these animals there. So that's why it happened. Like, they don't have any evidence for this. There is no evidence that 3,000 years ago the Pacific dropped far enough to be able to walk across it. Absolutely not. No. But they will use anything to make their ridiculous story work. Whereas on our side, we just like, well, they evolved a million years ago in South America. Antarctica was connected. It then got cut off. The more sort of eutherian mammals then supplanted the marsupials in other places. They didn't evolve in Australia. That's it. That's done. That's just done right there. Like, we don't need to go, oh, but if every volcano erupted at the same time, even though I've got no evidence of it, the ocean would have dropped so they could walk across it, which we have no evidence of. It's just this ridiculous hypothesis. I mean, it doesn't even warrant even trying to find out, because the original question hasn't been answered. How did only marsupials get to Australia and no other mammals? That's the question. Because the mammals that are here, like probably one of the oldest is the dingo, right? Australian wild dog. That's not native to Australia either. That came with the First Nations. We know that. Like, why did no wild dogs make it? Nobody knows. But Ice Ages doesn't answer the question.
I hope you can find it.
I believe he just released a lay level book as well, answering the problem of the Ice Age. I remember him saying that in our last program together. And so if a lot of that water then, maybe another clarifying question help the audience too. So if a lot of that water is thrown into ice caps and the sea levels are lowered, it will, because I noticed you mentioned floating logs and floating mats, and so therefore is the answer a mix of, so it's not only land bridges to help animals move around after the ark, it's a mix of land bridges but also floating mats and floating logs.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yeah, that floating bullshit is more like it. Look, this is nonsense. Like, you're basically postulating that marsupials, and only marsupials, manage to use floating logs, while other animals like, oh, I don't know, beavers couldn't manage it. Or you know, rats. Okay, there's no rats, like ordinary rats. There's marsupial mice native to Australia, but not rats, right? Rats get everywhere. They're really good at it, but they only came with the boats. So how did a koala, a slow-moving marsupial that sleeps for like 23 hours a day, who can only feed on eucalyptus, get over there, and something like, oh, I don't know, a bobcat or a rat could not, or an otter could not? Like, seriously, my guy, you're gonna have to do better. Because all of these excuses to how kangaroos and koalas got to Australia, it doesn't answer the question of why nothing but marsupials did. And evolution has an answer. It's a very easy answer. And it's also, helpfully, backed up by fossil records. Absolutely is backed up by fossil records. Whereas yours is backed up with nothing but, say it with me, like Donny says, rescue devices. I mean, you're talking about floating mats. It's literally a rescue ring for these animals to get across water. Seriously. It's wild that they say we use rescue devices when you're talking about floating mats of vegetation, you know, literally being a buoyancy device to help these guys get across water. Seriously. I mean, wow. You brushtail possum. Okay, well, I mean, look. I don't think cashews... Do cashews grow in Australia? I thought they were like... are they African or South American? I know they don't... They come from a tree. South America. Yeah. Yep.
It's exactly that. The Great Ice Age is one book produced by Creation Ministries International. And then there's another book called An Ice Age Caused Weather prior to the present age in which we live. And that last book, The Frozen Record.
Yeah, he's just talking about books now. Like, just writing a book does not actually mean that you are onto the right thing. It's been a couple hours. I think I do have a third video, but I might wrap it up here because it's a bit of a long one. And it's also ERVs, which I know a lot of people like fall asleep during, but I like it. But I might wrap it up because he's really just trying to plug books now from Creation Ministry, which... You know, writing a book does not... Anybody can write a book and put it online. Trust me, Donny's done exactly that. He's written a book, put it online, completely wrong about many things, but, you know, anybody can do that. Like, point to some actual papers. Like, show us the evidence of this ice age happening. Because just saying there could have been an ice age, we can explain it. I mean, don't forget that Donny started with magic. He said, oh, there was a supernatural event to get all of the animals there. It's like, oh, wow. You're starting with the supernatural. This is going to go downhill very fast. And to suggest that the animals went like through Russia over the Bering Strait and then over the Pacific, like doing a map, like what he's trying. So I'm going to get my map up actually and sort of show you what he's trying to do, right? What he's trying to do. Where is it? There it is. So, oh, I thought I put marks on this one. Did I share the wrong thing? I probably did. It's probably my fault. Usually is. I think I put marks on it. Replace screen sharing. Oh, it's a window. Yeah, gotcha. Okay. So we'll go back to our little map. What he's trying to do is he's trying to populate marsupials in sort of some in North America, more in South America, and more in Australia, right? He's trying to populate these areas. So he's had to say, well, if I assume, and he's going to assume, right? There's no way. If I assume that he starts in the Middle East here, like just going down to Australia, well, that doesn't explain it. So he's had them come all the way over into Canada to the United States, and then he sort of says, hey, they spread out, you know, from there kind of thing. But the problem is it doesn't explain the biodiversity, because what we see is most of the marsupials being in Australia, like nearly all of them, some in South America, and just like one extant and very, very few in North America. What we can say, and the fossil diversity, there's a lot of fossils for them in South America, right? So we say they started here, moved through Antarctica when it definitely was connected, and up to Australia and Tasmania when that was connected, right? That's the explanation. Some went north, but because there was other mammals evolving in Europe and moving over to America, and in America, they got slaughtered. Like marsupials don't do great against other mammals. They don't. They're not that great. But Australia was isolated, so all of it survived, and there's no other mammals on there. There's just marsupials, or very, very few, and mostly they moved over. So we've got this thing of, well, you don't have to appeal to magic ice pathways across the Pacific and rings of fire and stuff. We just go, how they just evolved in South America and then got wiped out. That is all. That's it. That's the entire explanation. And it makes sense. It's absolutely simple. And why is that not? Stop. Yeah, exactly. So what we don't see, right, from this graph, what we should see is a diversity of marsupial fossils being very concentrated around the Middle East, up into Russia, and then getting less and less as they move down. And that is not what we see at all. So yeah, absolutely, Alex. Totally agree with you. But I think I'll leave it there. It's a good place to leave it, and the next video is way too long. So I'll wrap it up there. I will be doing a debate on the 29th, so join me for that. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. I would appreciate it a lot. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. This was a wild one. Like, not only was Raw Matt's lightning caused nuclear fission just one of the most laughably absurd things I've seen for quite some time, this idea that marsupials went through the Bering Strait from Russia to Alaska and then crossed back over a frozen Pacific Ocean, or a diminished Pacific Ocean due to freezing, because a ring of fire all erupted at once. It just gets ludicrous. Like, come on now. Yeah, and big thank you to everybody. It 2.5k. It's been a long time coming, and I am so chuffed. It's amazing. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. It's fantastic. And a big thank you to everybody out there. All of my members, thank you so much. Couldn't do it without you. Just fantastic. But I will line up at some point in the very near future a celebratory 2.5k. We can just chill, hang out, play games. It'll be open to everybody. It's not going to be a member stream. It's going to be open to everybody, but I'll have to line that up at some point. So do hit the bell icon to be notified, especially when I have debates coming up, because sometimes they come on really short notice. So just make sure you have that bell rang, and so you can see when the debates pop up. You can drop into chat and mock the opposition, or be a dirty atheist, or whatever you gremlins get up to in your free time. But anyway, that'll do for Donny. I really like Donny. Oh boy, what is that man putting up? Like, seriously, I don't know. I mean, I am hassling a little, and I probably shouldn't be, but I find it hard. Like, when you're putting up stuff that is that absurd, that just does not work, I find it hard to be charitable. I really do. Oh, you've got a debate tomorrow, 8 Eastern, on A's philosophy. Yeah, A's philosophy, I think that A stands for arsehole, to be honest with you. I'm not even sure if he's banned on my channel or not. He might be. I have no idea. Yeah, if you want to send it to me, I can certainly post it in a sec. If you do want to send it on Discord or something, or I might be able to find it myself, actually. So coming up, I do have our usual debate review, and that will be Saturday night Eastern time over on Better Than Embers, and I'll get you a link for that, so you can be over there. We are doing a Gutsit Gibbon one, and it is absolutely beautiful how much Gutsit Gibbon is wrecking a creationist. She absolutely wrecks them. It's fantastic. I'm really enjoying the debate review, so I will provide a link to that. So that's in about 44 hours. My week's been so busy this week. It's been crazy. That's the thing. If you want to send it to me on Discord, Objective Ethics, I can post it in the chat. More than happy to, if you can do it, but I am winding up. Oh, you're on your phone. Okay, gotcha. Well, I'm sure people can find it. I don't know how to find it, but that's okay. That's all right. Yeah, no worries at all. I'll try to. I'll see what I can do. Give me 1 second. I think that's the guy. Upcoming live streams is Objective Morality Best Grounded by Objective Ethics versus RAF. Yeah, okay, gotcha. All right, no worries. I can throw that in there. That's not a problem at all. There we go. So if you do want to watch a debate, there you go. But I will return. And yeah, then I'll see about this debate with Jim Bob. It should be fun. It's evolution, and evolution's odd. Like, people mainly think that I do morality and philosophy and stuff. Evolution's actually one of the topics that I more got started on, like that and flat Earth and things. So I actually really enjoy it. So because there's overwhelming evidence for it. So yeah. Thank you, Grunge Thing. Thank you so much, buddy. Really appreciate it. I'm glad you exist. I'm glad you all exist. It's absolutely fantastic. Do take care. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to others. Try to be kind to others. I mean, it's so hard. It's so hard to be kind to some of Donny's guests. It's just absurd. But I try. I don't think they're stupid people. I think they say some stupid stuff. Like, seriously, I'm really sorry they do. Ugh. All right. Do take care, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye-bye, people.